Welcome to This Week in the NFL Week 14 edition. Get ready for some garbage.
Dan Campbell is a man who loves to gamble. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And how the Lions perform is determined by how well it pays off. This time it pays off just enough so that they make the postseason. The Lions are the first NFC team to clinch a playoff spot. If I had to pick anyone to win the Super Bowl, it'll be them. Because really, it's been too long. Ding! That was one of the worst pieces of trash I've ever seen in my life. At least we won, I guess. Gee, I sure hope another game doesn't end up this bad or possibly even worse. I need to stop talking. How did two really awful games come up on one time slot? This might be the worst week in the NFL I've seen in a long time. If we keep up with this. That actually also eliminates the Titans from the playoffs, but they were broken anyway, so it's not like it was the worst possible thing for them. Oh yeah, forget that the Browns are still here, technically. Well, anyway, this loss can be pointed toward literally one person, Kadarius Toney. He was immediately cut after the game and made a bunch of mistakes that gave the Steelers points. And costed us points. Oh, and another thing, he cost us a playoff spot. But let's be real. Jameis Winston was no Joe Flacco, and we couldn't pull another crazy run like we did last year. Now, can we please draft a quarterback in this upcoming draft? Congratulations, Tampa. You now have the privilege of playing the Raiders, who are so broken this year that they're just looking for the first overall pick in this year's draft. Can the Bucks win the division for the fourth straight year? It entirely depends on how they finish, but they do get a leg up in the race because the Falcons lost for the fourth straight time. Coach Riz really broke the Falcons, didn't he? Also, I smell a bunch of relations for the 2022 Vikings with the 2024 Vikings. Maybe things will be different this time now that the Giants aren't going to have a realistic chance of making the playoffs, since they're completely out already. What was thought to be a Dolphins blowout victory was instead one of the more entertaining games of the entire week. Not the most entertaining game of the entire week. Oh no, we'll get to that soon. Miami ended up winning in overtime after seeing both teams trade field goals in the final minute and them winning it with a touchdown. Can they compete in the playoffs? Can they even make the playoffs? All those answers depend on Tua's health in the NFL. And with that, the Jets are now officially eliminated from the postseason. Remember when people were saying back in 2023 that this was a super team? Maybe Aaron Rodgers getting injured was the signifier of how this Jets team was going to go. I wouldn't exactly call this a struggle victory for the Eagles, but I will say Philly isn't looking great on the passing game, even as Jalen Hurts threw the game-winning touchdown. Carolina really turned from the worst team in the league by miles to scrappy and tough to take down. A major improvement indeed. Hopefully they actually keep their coach around, because it's not his fault they're losing. And with that, every possible team that could have been eliminated this week was indeed eliminated. Same goes for last week too. The question is, how fast is this playoff field going to shrink? As for Carolina, keep your heads high, because I don't think this is the last we're going to hear of you. Can we talk about how underrated Mike McDonald is as a coach? Man's coached a mediocre squad into a great position for a playoff spot. And he just took even more control of the NFC West. As long as the Rams don't overtake him. Kind of funny, you don't normally see well-coached squads in the NFL. Mostly you just hear about talent, and more talent. By the way, every condition has now been satisfied for the Eagles to get back into the postseason. Well done, boys. You haven't collapsed. At least, not yet. Ding! Alright, now we're at the best game of the week. For the first time this NFL season, both teams crossed the 40-point threshold in one game. In the end, it was the Rams, getting one step closer to a playoff spot, and one step closer to winning their division title. I think they just had more to play for, if I'm being honest. I would be a lot more positive about the 49ers, but they lost to the Rams in one of the worst Thursday night football games you've ever seen in your life, so I'm going to retract everything I was going to say about them this week. Better luck next time, I guess. At this point, I'm not even surprised that the Chiefs are winning in this fashion. It's kind of like clockwork for them, only more fun. I meant for them, not the rest of the NFL. That was a game. It reminds me of the Simpsons series. Kind of funny at first, but overly drawn out into 60 minutes of the dumbest slapstick you've ever seen in your life. The Bengals earn a win, with earn in quotation marks, and hopefully ends the Cowboys' remaining playoff hopes. Alright, you two, mosey along. You got another week to play. Well, that'll do it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, ring the bell, and don't forget about John 3:16. And I'll see you next time. Matthew chapter 22, verses 37 through 39. Jesus replied, "You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. A second is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself." Words said by Jesus himself.